Last time we left Yusuf alayhi salam at the bottom of a dark well, betrayed by his own brothers, sold as a slave, everything stripped away. But Allah had a plan, and nobody, not his brothers, not the slave traders, not anyone, could stop what Allah had already written for him. Let us get back into it. Yusuf grows up in the house of Al-Aziz. Al-Aziz was one of the most powerful men in Egypt, and Yusuf alayhi salam, this young man who arrived as a slave, grew up in his household. Allah blessed Yusuf with something extraordinary. Wherever he went, whatever he did, Allah put barakah in it. The house of Al-Aziz prospered because of him. Everything ran smoothly, everything flourished, and Yusuf alayhi salam grew up to become not just capable, but exceptional. Handsome, intelligent, trustworthy, and deeply connected to Allah. But then came the next test, and this one was different. The wife of Al-Aziz. The wife of Al-Aziz became obsessed with Yusuf alayhi salam. She pursued him, she tried to seduce him, she locked the doors, and Yusuf alayhi salam, this young man, alone, far from his family, with no one watching, chose Allah over temptation. He said, I seek refuge in Allah. He is my Lord who has been good to me. That single moment of taqwa in private, when nobody was watching except Allah, is one of the most powerful moments in the entire story, because that is where character is truly built. Not in public, in private. Yusuf is thrown into prison. Al-Aziz's wife lied. She told her husband that Yusuf had wronged her. And despite his innocence, Yusuf alayhi salam was thrown into prison. Think about this for a moment. He did everything right. He chose Allah. He stayed patient. He refused temptation. And he still ended up in prison. This is one of the greatest lessons in the entire Quran. Doing the right thing does not always mean the world will reward you immediately, but Allah always does. And even in prison, Yusuf alayhi salam did not lose hope. He did not become bitter. He kept his connection with Allah and he kept his character. The two prisoners and their dreams. While in prison, two men came to Yusuf alayhi salam with dreams they could not understand. One saw himself pressing wine, the other saw himself carrying bread on his head with birds eating from it. Yusuf alayhi salam interpreted both dreams. He told the first man he would be released and return to serving the king. He told the second man his fate was not good. Both came true exactly as Yusuf alayhi salam said. He asked the first man, the one who would be released, to mention him to the king, to tell someone about the innocent man sitting in prison, but the man forgot, and Yusuf alayhi salam remained in prison for several more years. The king's dream. Then one day the king of Egypt had a dream that shook him. 7 fat cows being eaten by 7 thin ones, 7 green ears of grain and 7 dry ones. Nobody in the entire kingdom could interpret it. And then, the man who had been released from prison remembered. He remembered the young man who had interpreted his dream years ago. He went back to the prison, and Yusuf alayhi salam interpreted the king's dream immediately. 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of severe drought. Store the grain now, prepare for what's coming. The king summons Yusuf. The king was so amazed he summoned Yusuf alayhi salam immediately. But Yusuf alayhi salam did something remarkable. He refused to leave prison until his name was cleared. He would not walk out as a freed slave. He would walk out with his innocence proven. And the king investigated, and the truth came out. The wife of Al-Aziz admitted what she had done. Yusuf alayhi salam walked out of that prison with his head held high, innocent, vindicated, and about to step into something nobody could have imagined, from the prison to the palace. The king was so impressed with Yusuf alayhi salam that he gave him a position of enormous power, in charge of the treasuries of Egypt, in charge of preparing the entire nation for the famine that was coming. The boy who was thrown into a well by his brothers, the slave who was sold for a cheap price, the innocent man who was thrown into prison, was now one of the most powerful men in Egypt. This is the comeback Allah writes for those who are patient. This is what tawakkul looks like in real life. And the story is not over yet, because his brothers are about to walk through his door, and they have no idea who they are about to face. Comment below if you want part 3. Subscribe for a new reminder every single day.